Let's take a stroll through the hallowed halls of old money, where fortunes have been solidified over decades, if not centuries. Born with a silver spoon in your mouth, your future practically glistens with prosperity. Yet let's not forget, even in these rarefied circles, domestic bliss is not a guarantee. Divorce can rear its ugly head, and let me tell you, when it infiltrates a blue-blooded household, the fallout is nothing short of nuclear. Undoubtedly, this isn't just about halving assets or divvying up the family estate. It's an earthquake that rattles the very foundations of generational wealth. The financial wreckage is palpable, sure, but what about the emotional toll? With children caught in the crossfire, loyalties tested, and social standings jeopardized. In today's episode of Old Money Luxury, brace yourselves, because we're diving into an intricate, emotionally charged exploration of how divorce affects the untouchable dynasties of old money. Now, you've probably heard, old money is the kind of wealth that doesn't scream from the rooftop. It elegantly whispers from a lavish chaise lounge in a penthouse suite. Indeed, old money families are not nouveau riche by any measure, and they're the embodiment of fiscal shrewdness and long-term vision, often established through lucrative businesses, impeccable investments, and a treasure trove of properties. And one of the key ingredients of this old money long-term vision is, quite naturally, trust funds. Those impenetrable vaults where generational wealth is guarded like a state secret. Far from a frivolous financial instrument, a trust fund is the bulwark against unexpected calamities and unsolicited hands reaching into the family coffers. The taxman and those armed with opportunistic lawsuits find themselves sorely thwarted by this intricate but highly effective set of financial tools. And when it comes to romantic entanglements, these dynasties don't merely take vows, they make calculated alliances. Prenuptial agreements are almost as integral to their unions as diamond rings and marriage certificates. These legally binding documents spell out the division of assets in case the nuptial boat hits an iceberg. For them, it's not unromantic, it's prudent. Love may fade, but family fortunes should withstand the test of time. Therefore, romance and divorce are merely chapters in the grand narrative of old money families. These chapters are navigated with the same meticulousness and strategy they apply to their financial portfolios. They hedge against life's volatility, like master strategists in a complex, high-stakes chess game, safeguarding their affluence for the unborn offspring, yet to join their illustrious ranks. Speaking of chess, let's discuss the curious case of Anna Gould and Count Boney de Castellane, a public divorce that rang out like a bell in the salons of the world's wealthiest. Anna Gould was a bona fide American heiress, daughter of a railway magnate and equipped with a golden key to the world's most exclusive social circles. Count Boney was no slouch either, a French nobleman who thought he'd snagged the golden goose when he married Anna in 1895. Together they were the epitome of an international power couple, an alliance of new American money and ancient European class. So what went awry? Well, as their wealth ballooned, so did their appetites for the ostentatious. Count Boney built a home so grand they called it the Pink Palace, a name that sounds like it belongs in a fairy tale but was, in reality, a monument to his ego. This wasn't just a home, it was a mega mansion, replete with every luxury imaginable. The man had a penchant for extravagance, whether it was recreating historical royal events or sailing on a colossal steam yacht named Walhalla. And if that wasn't enough, they went on to purchase a magnificent piece of history, Chateau du Marais. But Boney even ventured into politics, making waves but also ruffling feathers, yet the spending became unsustainable. Anna's brother George stepped in, taking control of her spiraling finances. In 1906, Anna filed for divorce, marrying Boney's own cousin 2 years later, an act that marked the unceremonious finale of their high-flying years. Count Boney, though once a celebrated figure, thus found himself on a downward spiral. With a hefty divorce settlement and a deteriorating reputation, he was left grappling with the consequences of a lifestyle that proved too grand even for him. And, as if the divorce drama wasn't enough, let's dive into the gender roles of 1910. You see, in the so-called golden age of old money, men were the financial generals, marshalling resources and wielding the family checkbook like a scepter of power. Women, lamentably, were mere bystanders in the fiscal arena. Married women found themselves particularly hamstrung, their financial destinies dictated by their husbands, who commanded full legal control over assets. Sadly, at the time, financial emancipation was a pipe dream tethered to their marital fates. In fact, even unmarried women of generational wealth found themselves dancing to the tunes played by fathers or brothers, who acted as gatekeepers to the family coffers. But financial minutiae were only half the tale. Roll over to 1915, and we find divorces not merely as legal procedures, but explosive social scandals. Now, the Roaring Twenties were not just about jazz, flappers and speakeasies. They were also a time of economic and societal change, notably in the corridors of old money grandeur. One monumental development was the rise of the prenuptial agreement, or the prenup, as it's colloquially known. This legal maneuver allowed couples to sketch out their fiscal roadmap should their marriage crumble, a novelty for families who considered matrimony a blending of not just hearts, but also bank accounts. In essence, prenups became the financial bulletproof vests for the well-heeled, safeguarding the family coffers from the wrecking ball of divorce. Just as prenups were coming into vogue, Hollywood was dominating the global entertainment scene, offering drama and intrigue both on and off the screen. Enter Mary Astor, the name that adorned film posters alongside luminaries like Clark Gable and Myrna Loy. By 1936, she amassed a staggering career with more than 70 films released, with classics like Don Juan and Red Dust to her credit. But while her screen life was all glitz and glam, her domestic world was anything but. Astor's marriage to physician Franklin Thorpe seemed to promise stability after the harrowing plane crash that claimed her first husband, Kenneth Hawkes. By 1935, Thorpe sought an escape clause, claiming mental abuse and filing for divorce. Astor found herself in a bind, losing custody of their daughter, Marilyn, and a considerable slice of her assets. But if you thought that was the dramatic climax, hold on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Astor counterattacked in 1936, claiming coercion and abuse as she sought to rewrite the divorce terms and regain custody of her daughter. Accusations flew like arrows, with Thorpe's counsel shooting back that Astor was the one in the wrong, entangled in an illicit affair. And it was all aired out in court, a Hollywood drama script that no one needed to write because it was unfolding in real time. Lawyers volleyed accusations and denials, making the courtroom a theater where the scandalous intricacies of high-profile relationships were laid bare for public consumption. And this jaw-dropping, headline-grabbing spectacle unfolded during a decade when societal attitudes towards divorce were warming up, loosening their old-fashioned shackles. Though divorce still carried a stain, it was increasingly seen as a sometimes unavoidable eventuality, rather than a sin against the institution of marriage. Therefore, in this climate, old money families adapted, begrudgingly acknowledging that even a blue-blooded union might not be forever. Then, in the wake of World War II, the glittering world of old money found itself facing unprecedented upheavals. Soldiers returned to home fronts that were vastly different from what they'd left, and these seismic shifts inevitably altered the matrimonial landscapes. Suddenly, these blue blood families had to grapple with newfound dynamics. Women, you see, were no longer just ornaments in lavish ballrooms. They had become indispensable figures in the workforce and beyond. It was into this rapidly changing backdrop that Winthrop Rockefeller, scion of the iconic Rockefeller Empire, waded in matrimony. His 1948 wedding to Jevuta Bobo Paulacuta, a gifted actress with an eclectic background, was the stuff of fairy tales, sealed on Valentine's Day, no less. They celebrated the birth of their son, Winthrop Paul Wynne Rockefeller, adding another leaf to the family tree. But the marital serenade was short-lived. By 1950, the couple had drifted apart. A much-publicized combative legal duel ensued, concluding with Bobo winning both the custody of young Wynne and a staggering $5.5 million settlement. Another case that rocked high society's golden echelons was the romance between heiress Gloria Vanderbilt and the legendary conductor Leopold Stokowski. Now, Stokowski was no novice to matrimony. He had been previously wed to Olga Samaroff, an accomplished pianist, and then to Evangeline Love Brewster Johnson, an heir to Johnson & Johnson's treasure chest. But when Vanderbilt entered the picture, freshly divorced, might I add, it was like throwing petrol onto a roaring fire. Soon enough, two sons were born to them, Christopher and Leopold Stanislaus. However, even this electrifying partnership couldn't evade the pitfalls of marital disintegration. The divorce papers were signed and sealed in October 1955, serving as yet another emblematic story of how even the sturdiest familial empires could shake at their foundations due to matrimonial fractures. As the 1960s rolled in, a feminist surge was building, irrevocably altering societal paradigms, particularly within the ivory towers of wealth. Women were not just making their voices heard, they were actively contributing to the orchestration of marital contracts and divorce settlements. They began to stake their claims on the very fortunes that for so long had been the dominion of men. So there it was, a series of melodramatic episodes in the lives of some of America's most venerable families, each one a vivid snapshot of an era when change was not just coming, it had well and truly arrived. Now, the 1970s were a decade that gave women not just disco and flared pants, but the kind of financial freedom that led to the escalation of divorce rates. Gone were the days when a woman had to cling to her husband for economic survival. She had her own paycheck and the liberty that came with it. Society too had changed. Divorce was no longer whispered about behind closed doors, but rather acknowledged as a fact of life, thanks in part to the monetary emancipation of women. Roll into the 90s, and we find the advent of asset protection trusts, financial fortresses safeguarding the riches of affluent families from divorce settlements and money-hungry creditors. It's an intricate labyrinth of legal loopholes and caveats, but when structured properly, it's like having a golden shield protecting generational wealth. Of course, they're not invincible. Hence, why you'd want a seasoned estate planning attorney to guide you through this financial maze. As we saunter into the 21st century, we witness divorce rates among old money families dwindling. Is it the financial independence of women, or perhaps the increased cognizance of the detrimental impact of divorce on the offspring? Or maybe it's the pull of preserving not just their coffers, but their family name as well. For example, the headline-grabbing divorce of Bill and Melinda Gates in 2021 was like a seismic jolt in the landscape of high-net-worth separations. After 27 years and a brood of 3, Melinda walked away with a jaw-dropping 11 figures. Prenuptial agreement? Not for the Gates. A colossal oversight, some would say, considering that most old money families have one securely tucked away in their financial portfolios. And the Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Scott divorce of 2019, another media circus spectacle, had its unique flavor. Scott, bestowed with 25% of Bezos's Amazon stock, a cool $36 billion, didn't just maintain her financial independence, she metamorphosed into a philanthropic titan. She's been generously sprinkling her billions on worthy causes, much like someone throwing confetti at a New Year's Eve party. So, what's on the horizon for old money divorces? With reforms in alimony laws looming and the increasing acceptance of same-sex marriages, the rules of the game might be changing. The decline in divorce rates among the privileged is likely to continue, backed by increasingly sophisticated financial safeguards. And while it's a topic of speculation, it's clear that the affluent are not playing around when it comes to protecting their assets and reputations. And now we'd like to see you in the comments. Do you believe all old money divorces should be split 50-50? Or should there be a system that allows for the families to keep most of their money? This is a fascinating topic, and we can't wait to hear from you. As always, thank you for your continued viewership here at Old Money Luxury. And cheers, until next time.